clicking a button, I can go look at it someday.
Yeah, actually, I sent an email regarding the live streaming process. So if you are not aware of that guideline, I can quickly share the link and also go through and also share the screen about that link. You can find that guideline. Yeah. Okay, the live streaming has been enabled, so I think everyone could be able to view this meeting on YouTube channel, on the Notary YouTube channel. So everybody, would you mind me to sharing my screen and go through the agenda? I think Yi and Toddy and Sajid will not be able to join us today, and they are on holidays. Okay, so I will share my screen. And first of all, I think I can quickly share what's the guideline of enabling Zoom to YouTube live streaming. I think this is helpful for Samir and Pritesh if you want to host the meetings in the future. Let me know if you can see my screen. I'm actually sharing my browser and hang out on the meeting agenda.
Yep, you can see it.
Awesome. So I think before we go through those 3 agenda items, I can quickly share where is the guideline, where you can find the guideline to set up the live streaming. So there's a maintainer. Oh, sorry, it's not this one. Yeah, we have CNCF Notary maintainer mailing list. It's this one. Let me forward this link to our chat box. So by the way, I would like to kindly remind you that every notary maintainer should have access to this website. At least governance maintainers should have the access to this website. And in general, CNCF will send any information and notification to this mailing list group, and it will be automatically sent to our working email. So I think you can find every previous email in the messages page. So regarding the live streaming guideline, I think I have write the guideline here. And this website is only visible for notary maintainers. So that is the reason that why we write the guideline on this mailing list. As this is a private guideline, so we put the content here. Then copy and paste this link in our chat box. I think Samir and Pritesh, you can check if you are able to see this link. If so,
yeah.
I think
I went to the link. It's asking me to use an email address and all, so I will follow it up later.
Okay. So if you meet the prerequisites that I mentioned here, I think you will be able to start the steps as mentioned below. Okay, I think this is the general guideline of how to enable the Zoom to YouTube streaming for our community meetings. I will not go through the details as I think it is quite clear for everybody to understand. If you have any questions, feel free to ping me or shoot messages in our Slack channel.
Yep, I will give it a try. Right now, when I try to log in, it says it is sent an email to my account. So I will try it later.
Awesome. Thanks, Pritesh. Okay, I think we can back to today's agenda and go through those agenda items. So I added 3 topics to today's agenda. The first one is regarding the notation V1 release status check-in, as we still have some blocking issues and PRs which are pending review or is already under review. So I think it's time to have a check-in to those V1 PRs and issues. And the second item is regarding the security audit report publishing date and the blog post. I think Sami and Pritesh, you had discussion with Toddy and other notary maintainers in the notary meeting last week. So I think the next step would be create the repository and finalize the naming. Sorry, this is the next item. I think for security audit report, the next step would be confirm the release date and the blog post ownership. So the last item would be the repository naming of the notation GitHub actions. I have these 3 topics for today's meeting. So I want to confirm if there are any topics from Samir and Pritesh or anyone else.
Nope, nothing from my side.
Okay, so if there's no further topics, let's go through the agenda one by one. So I think you're already aware that we have a planning board which track all of those V1.0 and V1.1 items on this planning board. So I think we can go through V1.0 items quickly. The first one is add notation CLI to WinGet package manager. I think I can self-assign, and I am looking for a volunteer who can help us to onboard notation CLI to the WinGet package manager. In this way, users will be quite easy to install notation on Windows operating system. There's a WinGet command that users can install it with WinGet install notation, something like that. So if I find a volunteer who can help us to onboard this package manager, I can change the assignee. The next one we have the next one related to onboarding the notation to macOS or Linux group. So I think we have volunteer who will help us to handle this item, and it will be post V1 as it relies on the V1 release. So I think we will follow it up after V1 release is out. Next item is release management. We have PR and we have supermajority of the approvals for this PR. But I remember Hardy mentioned we will need to merge those release process and management PRs after the release process or after we won. Pritesh, do you have any backgrounds or previous conversation related to those PRs? I mean, release management and release checklist.
Yeah, I do remember talking about that. I think the reason for that was that it's an ongoing process. So when we do this release, we will learn more from it, and we can incorporate the learnings into this PR. And I think that was the motivation to keep it open until we do the release.
Okay, I think That makes sense. So we will be able to merge this PR after we finalize the V1.0 release process, as we may introduce any uncertain changes if there is any further actions that we didn't take any notes in those release management and the release checklist. I think that's the purpose of that we keep those two PRs open. Okay, I think we finished the first phase of this PR, but let's wait for the V1.0 release. Then we will be able to check if it is ready to merge it. Notation naming. Wow, this is the most tough issue, and I think Todd is still driving this issue. We have 3 PRs related to this change, and every PR is in different repository. So we will need to wait Toddy get back from his holiday and follow up on those 3 PRs. I think this is the top priority of V1, and CNCF has maintainers. CNCF has governing board members who is helping us review those PRs. So I think we may need to take additional working days to finalize those 3 PRs. Let's skip this one, and I will follow up with Toddy for those status and see if we can finalize these 3 PRs this week, by the end of this week. This item is related to update the signature stack. I see he need to follow up and make some changes according to Emily's suggests. So there's action for his PR. I will confirm and follow it up with Yi when he's back from his holiday. So for blog post of V1 release, I had a draft PR and moved the content from my personal hack markdown to our Notary website repository this morning. So I think it should be able to review tomorrow, and I will incorporate every suggested changes from the hack markdown to this PR. I will request other Notary maintainers to review it. I think Samir has also left some comments on my personal hack markdown, so I will need to ask Samir to help me review this content again, and also Patrick. For the security best practice of notation deployment, I remember Zach had a PR last month or earlier. Yeah, it's a very long history PR. So I think Zach made some changes according to Shui's suggestions last week. So I think the current status is that we need to take another review for this PR and see if this PR meet the merge requirements and the content is enough for securing the notation deployment. So I would like to ask Shui and Pritesh to take a look again for this PR, as it is necessary for us to finalize this PR before we publishing the security audit report and security audit blog post.
I will try to take a look tomorrow.
Thanks.
I think
Yeah, I will also review that.
Yeah, So I think there's a comment from Toddy which needs to be added. I think she already replied to them. So probably we also want an approval from Toddy on this one.
Yeah, I think I will loop Toddy to review this as he had some suggested changes. So Shui replied to Toddy, and finally Zach incorporated those suggestions from Shui and resolved those suggested changes in his latest commit. I will loop Toddy to review this and also add this PR as the actionable item to our meeting notes. I think this is very critical for publishing the Notary Security Audit Report. This is the last documentation PR for publishing security audit report. This one, we already had a PR out, so we will need to take a look as this is related to the README update in the Notary project repo. So I think maybe Samir, me, and Pritesh Shui, we need to review this PR. I'll add this as an actionable item to our meeting notes.
I think that's dependent on the naming PR. So once naming is merged, probably we should take a step. I think we should take a step after the naming PR is merged.
Yeah,
there would be names of the projects. So
yeah, it's related to the naming as it seems this PR doesn't have any relations to the naming issue, as it's just removed the Notary V2 reference and update the out of the dated content, I think. It is not blocking by the naming issue.
I think it will depend upon what the new repo we are calling, whether it's a Notary project, whether it's specifications or whatever we are suggesting, that will change the naming here. I'm not sure how we are planning to do it. Probably it will depend upon naming. I'll take it right. Because if you're calling Notary project specifications or what we are trying to do there. All notation specification, it depends upon how we're trying to do the naming thing.
Yeah, actually this PR, the notation signature specification is related to naming, but for this PR, I think the purpose is just update the outdated content in README, as you can see from the major updates listed by E.
Okay. I thought there would be some references of the project name in the README also. But I might be wrong here. Yeah, we can take a pass over this one. Yep, Notary project has several, something like that. Several public security audits.
Okay, so for this one, release B1 of the Notary project spec. I think this is blocking by the notation naming issue and also the proposal to create a new spec repo, right? We will not continue to maintain. We will choose to archive the previous Notary project repository and move those specifications to a new repository. So I think this issue is tracked that purpose. I think we can skip it right now as we we need to rely on the notation naming and archive notary project spec, notary project repo first. After that, we will be able to move the content to the new spec repo and finalize this action. This one is related to the published security audit report on the notary website. Oh yeah, I think this has been completed by Sanjay, and as you can see, we have a dedicated security page which listed those security audit reports. So I think when we have the latest security audit report out, we will add a new link here. So I think we can keep this issue open, and after the notary security audit report is ready, we can add a new link on that page. I think this issue is still valid, and there's a last item related to the security audit report publishment. Refactor and migrate the release guideline. Oh, I see. This is the issue created by me, and the purpose is to refactor and migrate the release guideline from the notation CLI repo to the .github repo to a central place, and it should reflect to all of those notary project repositories, not only for the notation CLI repo. Actually, we have two PRs. The first one is the release management, updated by Pritesh, and another one is the release checklist. I had a PR in notation CLI repo. After we finalizing the content update, we will be able to migrate those guidelines from the notation CLI repo to the .github repo.
Is that the right place for there, like to migrate from notation CLI to the .github?
Actually, I proposing migrating the content from CLI repo to .github. We want to have a central place to place those release process and release checklist. Also, all of those content related to the release, and it should reflect all notary project repositories, not only the notation CLI repo. This is the general purpose of this migration proposal. So if we have the release guidelines in notation CLI repo, which means we need to replicate these release guidelines to every repository under notary project or under notary organization. So in order to decrease those duplicated efforts to maintain this release guideline in each repo, I would like to propose have a central place, like put all of those release guidelines in the .github repo. This is the general purpose of this proposal. But first, before we 1.0 release, I think we just update the content and make sure it is applicable to notation CLI repo. I mean the release checklist and the release management. After that, I think we can continue to polish the content and refactor it to reflect to all of those notary repositories, not only the notation CLI, sorry.
Just a quick query. Will this apply to all the code repos, including the GitHub Actions or any other repo we bring in where the code is?
Which code? Sorry, I didn't get your point clearly.
This release guideline you're talking about, once we migrate it to .github
Yeah.
repo, will it apply to any other code repo we add? So today we have 3 code repos, right?
Yeah.
We're planning to add GitHub Actions as the other code repo where some code will reside. So it will apply to all of them going forward?
I think it should be able to apply to all of those code repos, or not only code repos. You know, the .github repo is a central place to place any governance related documents, right? So the release guidelines are part of the governance documentation, and it should be applicable to other to all of those notary project repositories, not only the Git repo.
Okay.
I think Samir's concern is that different repo may have different release pipelines. So having the same one might be an issue. Because, for example, when we release a library, it's different from releasing a CLI or releasing a GitHub action.
Yeah. So I think we need to split it into different sections for those content. Currently, the content is only focusing on releasing and updating the notation CLI release. But after we refactoring and after we migrate those content from notation CLI repo to the .github repo, we should be able to refactor the content and make it apply to different repositories.
Just one more, just because I'm not close to the code, so I don't know all the intricacies going in. But if we move it to the GitHub repo, then only the maintainers of the GitHub repo can make a change in the release process. Whereas if we keep it in the existing repositories, each code repo has its own thing, then those maintainers of those repos can make a decision on their own.
This is a good question. So actually, wherever we put this content in which repo, I think everyone should have the access to update the content. You know, everyone can send a PR to update. I think it relies on the reviewers, the repository reviewers to review and merge it, right? So I think the general purpose is to decrease the duplicated maintenance efforts. As you may know that there will be a lot of duplicated or the public content if we compare the release process of notation CLI, notation Go, and CoGo. So I think we can reuse those content in the same document and have different sections to describe what are the different parts of releasing notation CLI, notation Go, and CoGo. The benefits of putting those content in the central place, I mean, the .github repo, is to decrease the maintenance cost and ensure all of those content can be reusable in the same document. And we just differentiate the content, the parts which are different from the notation CLI.
Okay.
I think if you have any questions or suggestions, let's continue to follow up and discuss in the issue. It is not a very critical issue for V1. It will not block us, but at least I think we can continue to discuss and finalize the decision of migrating and refactoring the release guideline. We don't need to make decisions in this meeting, I mean. So I will forward this issue link and
Okay.
and thanks, Samir, for providing those valuable suggestions. I just shoot a message about this issue, and I think we can continue to discuss this. Okay, so back to the agenda. I think we have finished the V1.0 issues and PRs review. So is there anything we missed in this review? And by the way, I remember there are 2 PRs related to the security hardening process. This is opened by the security bot. So I'm not sure if this changes is related to notation V1.0 or related to the security audit report. Can anyone quickly explain what the purpose of these 2 PRs and see which milestone should we include it? Or it is not related to any specific milestone? Shuey or Patrick, I think you folks had reviewed this PR. You may have more backgrounds around the changes sent by this bot. Could you demonstrate or quickly explain this PR, and which milestone should we bring this PR?
I don't know, have you ever take a look at the security tab? It's yeah.
Sorry, I think this is the public meeting, and I think we are not able to view. I think this is related to this security scorecard or.
Yes. So basically, it's about scorecard. So the scorecard will report a lot of some nitpicks for security. They are not important. I mean, they are important, but they are not as important as those security vulnerabilities. So they are just the best practices. So if you look at the PR, if you look at the file changes, okay. So as you can see, it's just replaced all the tags to a fixed commit. So if the tag is overridden by something else, then we are pretty sure that we are still good and will be noticed. So that's the target and the goal of this PR. And we also have another PR to modify other things. Yeah, we have 2 PRs. Yes, this one is to fix the permission of the workflow that should restrict the workflow to access a certain subset of the repo. So basically, it applies the least privilege principle, and it makes the overall repo secure. So back to your question, this can be merged before notation 1.0.
Should we merge these 2 PRs before releasing V1.0? As I see, they have changes to the release workflow. I mean, release GitHub YAML.
Yes, we should do that. By the way, those PRs does not touch the production code, so no actual code change.
CI related change.
Yeah, and also thanks Junjie for proposing those PRs and configuring these boats.
Pritesh, did you get the points of these 2 PRs? I think it requires you to take a look and make decisions for merging it or any further comments?
Yeah, I had just one question. Did we configure it, or like how it works? Like, do we have to go on the website and configure it, or did we add a bot in our workflow? Did we add an action on GitHub?
Do you mean the GitHub Actions, or I
You know,
didn't?
yeah, I'm like, how was this PR created? Do we know a process around that?
I see.
Or,
I see. I think you're questioning about the process. How did we trigger the security step board to send out those
yes.
suggested changes?
Yep.
Where I think there's a scorecard which has a lot of records of suggested security changes and best practice. So I think maybe Junjie, you have more backgrounds around this process, or Sui, you might answer Pritesh's question.
Jijin, are you audible? If you are not audible, you can just type in the chat window.
Hello, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, you can open the security tab and open the specific the code scanning issue, and you can see a suggestion to open a step security bot. You will open a page, and in that page you can log in your GitHub account, and this is a service to help you build the fix for the security issue. That is the name of the service is Step Security.
Okay, so due to the policy, security policy, we cannot open the security.
Yeah. You can try to open
yeah.
Yeah.
So my gut feeling is that maybe we can document this process. For example, how and when should we trigger the step security bot to send any suggested changes or security best practice and trigger PR in the code repo. Maybe this should be a documentation for security advisory or our internal release or our internal guidelines. So I think Pritesh has a follow-up question. I think currently we are trigger these changes by default manually, so it is possible to automate this process for future changes.
I mean, this was a nice move. I'm just like wanted to know that can it be automated so you don't have to do it manually again for future changes, make any miscontribution. Probably bot can automatically correct that, something like that. If it's possible, I don't know.
So I think because we have a scorecard, so if someone send out a PR, I think they will be notified in the PR checks, right?
Do we have that check? I don't. Let me just check that quickly.
I think we do have check. So Freeman, can you just check the not this one? So can you go to the code? That's the .github, and
You mean the .github repo?
maybe just go back, and in this PR, scrolling down to the checks.
Okay.
Scrolling down to the check section. Scrolling down to the button.
Okay. You mean
Yes.
the TI
Yes,
check?
this one. Oh, okay. We don't have a scorecard check here, so okay, that's maybe the reason. Yeah. Well, maybe you can later to just investigate how the scorecard works, and see if we can automate this process, even before the PR or after the PR.
Do you mean introduce the open score and the scorecard check in our notation CI process?
It depends. So let's see. Even if we want to introduce the scorecard check in our PR process, it will only apply to the workflow folder.
So, Shui, is there any action items that we should follow for adding security card related quality gate or something like that?
Yeah, we need someone to investigate. Otherwise, we don't have knowledge to do the decision.
Okay, so add an action item for investigating scorecard and see maybe we can introduce any quality gate or check in our CI process. Let's follow it up after this meeting. Okay, so I think we finished the v1.0 status checking and those security check related PRs. So the next item would be confirm the release date of the security audit report and blog post status. Okay, so for security audit report, I know you are aware of that Adam is proposing on July 6th as the publishing date. Okay, I see Samuel's hand is raised.
Yeah, so Pratish and I took a stab at it. We have given a final draft of it in that Slack channel. You can see it. We would like you to, tomorrow being a holiday here, if you can take ownership of that and drive it to completion. I think the draft is ready. There are a couple of action items at the bottom that we need to resolve. But I think have a look at it in that Slack channel. And then if you want to go ahead and post it or take ownership from this point onwards, feel free.
Oh, it's cool. I think I see your draft in your hack markdown.
Yep.
You had a draft version.
Yes, I think it is fully fleshed from Pratish and my perspective. We have looked at it, but in case we are missing anything, for example, we were covering salsa here, so we were wondering how much to talk about salsa. There's some action items Pratish put at the bottom of the email. We can probably discuss it right away on the action items, and then you can review the report later or review the blog later and then change it as you please.
Is this link? I think I'm opening.
Yeah, that's the link. Yeah, if you scroll down to the bottom and just look at the action items that we need to close.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the same issue we talked about today, so that is covered. The second one was about Salsa. Sorry, it should have said Salsa, but I think we were talking about Salsa and scorecard here. And then the third was about we need Adam to review it as well. And the links have to be updated up there. But have a look at it later on, Femin, outside of this meeting, and just take ownership of it.
Yeah, I know you folks will take 1 day US holiday tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I think I can help and work and review those contents. At least
Okay.
I think it all looks good. We have enough essential content for the key findings of those security vulnerabilities and our fixes. I will follow it up and review it. And I think the general target is to publish this blog post and meet the release date that mentioned by Adam. I think we are targeting July 6th.
It seems possible, but we need to get this secure PR merged, that PR number 228. We need to get that PR merged.
Yes, so I think for that PR, we will need further reviewing on that security deployment PR. I think we discuss it and let's finalize it before the end of this week.
Okay, so I think because that has to be merged before we can publish this blog, because that addresses all of the things. So without it, I don't think so we have a complete story.
Mm-hmm.
And then as for Salsa, let's figure out what we want to do for Salsa.
I think for the second issue, I will double confirm with Adam. He didn't mention that we have any action items to fix any Salsa related security advisories or problems.
Okay. Yeah, if you can check with him. Thanks. That's it. We can move to the next topic then.
So Sue and Patrick, would you mind take another look at this blog post? This is related to the security audit report announcement, and we are targeting July 6th as the release date of the releasing the security audit report and also the security audit blog post.
Sure. Can you send me a link?
I'll do it today.
Thanks. I think this link is available in the private security audit Slack channel. I also forwarded in our Teams chat. Oh, sorry, in our Zoom chat. This is great updates from Samir and Pritesh. I think at least we should follow it up offline. Okay, so we finished the second item discussion. We have 6 minutes left for this meeting. So for the repository naming of notation GitHub Actions, we can continue to discuss this one in the GitHub issue. I think we have, let me open that issue. I think we are currently blocking by the notation GitHub Actions repository naming. And Todd is proposing a new name for this repository, which is setup notation action or notation action. The reason is that we want to add more clarity to Todd want to add more clarity to this repository and make sure that the action wording is added in the repository name, so users can understand what does this repository mean and how it is different from other similar setup, such as other CI/CD systems. So I have a stupid question. Is it possible to change the notation GitHub actions from a single action, setup action, to multi-actions in the future? So for example, in the future, maybe we will introduce signing action and verification action to the notation GitHub actions. Maybe it will be happening in the same repositories. Is it possible for this case? Or we should split different GitHub actions into different repositories?
So the major difference is here is that whether you want to go to the marketplace or not. So if you don't want to publish, or you want to quickly publish if you want to quickly publish the GitHub action to the marketplace, you have to only have one single action per repository. But if you are not in a hurry, or you can bear the process, then today you can have a single repo to have a lot of actions in a single repo.
Yeah, I think currently it is acceptable to have just a single action, set up actions and publish it to the GitHub marketplace. But in the future, we might evolve these repositories or these GitHub actions and introduce more actions like signing and verification into the GitHub actions. I'm not sure it is feasible to introduce those GitHub actions into the same GitHub repository, or it is necessary to create another repos to onboard those another actions like signing or verification. So if it is possible to introduce those actions into the same repo, I think maybe we can give a general name for these repositories and don't mention setup. And we can also add more description in this GitHub repository, such as this is a repository for setting up. I think the description can be changed anytime, but the repository name is not that flexible to change.
Yeah, so basically here you are suggesting that we can have something like notation action and the / setup for the action. So just basically make this repo a multi action repo. It is doable, and because of that, you don't need to modify the repo name and the action name. The drawback here is you still can publish it to the marketplace, but in a slow way. So it depends on how many actions we will have, and it depends on the publish or releasing timeline. So here the only valid scenario here is to set up the notation CLI. For the signing and verification, we don't know whether we really have a valid scenario or valid a user experience for that, because currently we can use the CLI to sign and verify. So if we do have, of course, we can do some prototype. If we see the value of those signing and verification actions, then we probably need to think about having a multi-action repo instead of single repos.
Okay, so I got your point. If we want to create a, I see Samir hands is raised. Go ahead, Samir.
I agree with Shiva. Shiva, I'm not close to coding for a long time, so I'm looking at it from what is the use case? The use case for GitHub Actions or any CI/CD action is to help automate things people want to do in their CI/CD pipeline. To that effect, the workflow is I want to sign something. The workflow is I want to verify something. I don't think so. There will be a workflow of saying I want to set up something and then I will sign. The workflow is I need to sign, and as part of signing, I may set up something. So I am with you that the multi-action is needed, but those multi-actions are still single action where you will do signing, but the signing will be through something which has to be set up. And that setup could be in the same action as signing.
Yeah, thanks, Samir's inputs. So I think currently we are struggling at the naming. Should we give a general name like notation action? Then it will be extensible if we want to introduce further actions like signing or verification in the future and not tied to setup only. I think this is an option. This is option one. And the second option is to be much clear and explicitly tell that this is the GitHub Actions for setup is used for setup only, and we can call it notation setup action, something like that, or action notation setup, which is proposed from Toddy.
Okay, I'm definitely confused about the benefit of just a setup action. So ignore my vote because I am unable to appreciate the value of just setting up notation without signing or verifying from it. So ignore my earlier comment because I think I have a misunderstanding of what we are trying to do here.
Yeah, thanks, Samir. I think going forward, we should add more clarity to any proposals we described in the issue.
Yeah, I think we have lost some audience, but I also wanted to cover one more topic, which was renaming or creating a new repository name for the specification. You also saw some input coming from maintainers like Milind or Niaz. So it seems we can't make the decision here today. We're out of time, but that remains, that's the thing which is going to block our release or block 1.0.0, right?
Yeah.
So this in park, but go look at the comments that Milind and Niaz made on naming the repository for specification to be explicit. That we need to close. So this one probably can wait.
I mean the comment from Niaz and also the comment from Milind.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can give a reply to this so that we can make a decision, but this is their stance.
Sure, I think we can take a look and also look Toddy to confirm yes proposal. As we are running out of time, we have 4 minutes over time, so let's keep this issue discussion offline. I will tag Toddy and other maintainers to reply to Nia's comment.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
I agree. The naming issue is the top priority. Let's tightly fix that. Okay, I see we have a new member joined us that we forgot to introduce, Victor Lu. Hey, Victor.
Oh yeah, hey, I'm just here to listen. I'm new to overall security, so just here to listen. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Victor. So, would you mind quickly introduce yourself as we?
Oh, yeah, I'm a database consultant, so I do know about database security, but that's about it. So I've been actually in the past several months joined a lot of CNCF level security meetings, and so yeah, still trying to learn a lot of things, including what is each product for, and how does it play in the overall security landscape. So it's going to take a while for me to understand all the components. So
Thanks, Victor. So I think you are exploring a solution to secure database.
not necessarily database, because security is really broad. So I'm just curious. What security products are available, and if I do get into security, I don't think I'll be able to get into the development and specific security. More of other than database, right? What else are there out there for security? As mainly a database security guy, but know something about other security aspects. That's my goal.
Awesome. So it's great to have you in this meeting. So we run Notary meetings twice a week. So if you want to have more connections with us, you can join us on Monday or on Thursday. And we also have Slack channel.
Yeah, I think I'm in the channel already.
Great. Feel free to leave any questions and connect with us in the Slack channel, in the Notary community meetings.
Yeah, I will definitely have more questions. For example, I know Notary 2 seems to have a lot of feature, including saving to OCI registry, just like cosign, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I understand Notary is more mature / powerful. Sigstore has its own pitch, but I guess trying to, and I know it seems like evolving, so it's hard to tell which one is for which scenario. And to be honest, even which is the eventual winner, maybe they both will have their use cases, but it will be nice to understand the current landscape and where Notary and cosign, for example, fit in what scenario.
Yeah, I think you had basic concepts of Notary. I think we will not call Notary B2 anymore, as we are currently renaming those projects. We will call notation instead, or Notary project. So I think you can have it try with using notation CLI to sign and verify. So notation is more focusing on the enterprise scenario and based on the mature PKI infrastructure. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask us in the Slack channel or while GitHub issues.
So you're saying Notary, so cosign definitely is for open source supply chain. The Sigstore seems to be pretty popular right now, but you're saying Notary for enterprise-wise, it's more because it's the maturity and feature rich of Notary make it more powerful for enterprise internal use cases, even, right? Can I describe it like that?
It's just my personal assumption. So I think we can continue this discussion offline, as it has a lot of aspects related to those two projects comparison.
Okay.
We just, for this meeting, we focus on Notary specific issues and questions. And we are running out are running out of time for this meeting, and sorry for missing those questions.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I feel I'm really new, so I'm just satisfied just listening. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Victor. Okay, I will stop the live streaming and finish this meeting. So if there is no further questions, I think we are good to stop this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Bye.